Hi, welcome to the reading for Monday, December 31st, 2018. All right, guys, this is going to be the last reading of the year, and this is our general weekly reading to let us know what are some of the dynamics and energy surrounding us for the next week. All right, we've got 6 piles, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you which piles are which. And yes, I am wearing my PJs. I want to be comfortable. So that's what you get. We've got the unicorn is pile number 1, the deer is pile number 2, the cat is pile number 3, the wolf is pile number 4, pile number 5 is the dragon, and pile number 6 is the elephant. Okay, so while you guys are picking a pile, I just want to go ahead and say that today is the very last day that you can sign up for 15% off your first reading of 2019. So go ahead and send me an email and do that. You don't have to purchase a reading. It's just something you can do to get 15% off in 2019. That's it. All right? And you'll just go on the list and that'll be it, you know? For those of you who wonder, you can visit my site to see all the updates and see some projects that are going to be coming in 2019. There's also an updated FAQ. So hopefully you guys will take a moment to look around there today or over the next few days. And everything you need to know about me is in the description, including my contact information. All right, guys? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this reading. And we're going to start with pile number 1, which is the unicorn. We'll go ahead and put the unicorn like that. Okay, so we've got... Okay. So we've got the 9 of Cups, the Hierophant, and the 7 of Wands. Okay, guys? So what this means for me is that emotionally, you're going to feel like you've really put all of yourself out there, okay? And I don't feel like you're feeling vulnerable about expressing yourself. I feel like you are feeling a little defensive though. It's weird because like vulnerability and defensiveness kind of seem really, really close on the emotional spectrum. But defensiveness is more like, you know, yeah, I feel that way, so what? Whereas vulnerability is all like, yeah, I happen to maybe feel this, you know, that's kind of the way that a person might express it. So just kind of keep that in mind. There's just going to be, you're going to be confronting some emotions, okay? Whether you do it with yourself or with another human being. It's just expressing of emotions. And then you've also got, we've got some kind of lesson here that's going to happen this week for you. It's like the answer to a question that you've been thinking about for a while. It's been on your mind. It's been kind of bothering you a little bit. It hasn't like really built up that much, but it's been on your mind. And it's kind of causing some confusion, and you're going to get that answer. So whatever your thing is this week, as far as what's on your mind and what's been bothering you, that's going to be resolved this week, okay? So whatever that question mark over your head is, okay? We also have quick messages, okay? This would be something that would be more like messages in person, although that doesn't mean that it can't be an email or a text. And then we also have messages about an ending in your life, okay? Now, you know, endings aren't necessarily, you know, negative events, you know. Sometimes, you know, this can indicate the ending of your burden. It can also actually indicate the ending of the year. I don't really think that that's what that is, though, because that would be a little bit too literal. But there's going to be something that ends. It really could be a death, but I don't feel like that's going to apply to most of you, okay? And that ending, you're going to hear about it through a message, okay? So this is going to be communicated to you. You're not going to know about it. I mean, well, you might know about it ahead of time, but you won't know like the details about it until somebody gives you a message about it, okay? We also have the solar plexus chakra. So look to, you know, this is also kind of talking about vulnerability and putting yourself out there, okay? So while we have defensiveness more on this Seven of Wands card, now we've got the solar plexus chakra coming up, which lets me know that there's, you know, yes, you're going to be dealing with your emotions, but it's also going to feel a little vulnerable. You know, our solar plexus is located in our tummy, where we don't have any bones or anything like that protecting us, and so that area of our body feels vulnerable. It tends to be what we cover up if we think that we're in danger. So just kind of keep that in mind. Solar plexus is also about personal power, though, okay? It's about speaking, you know, it's about being who you are, standing your ground, and that kind of stuff, okay? So it's definitely a very powerful thing. What it could indicate is that there's going to be a situation where you really have to stick with what you know is true, like your morals, that kind of thing. And you've just got to stand your ground there. That would be an appropriate message that the solar plexus chakra card would be conveying. It also reminds you that you aren't disempowered. You do have the ability to change your reality, okay? So yeah. And then we also have acceptance. I'm learning to accept the things I cannot change. I've noticed that acceptance, it doesn't mean not letting things bother you when something upsetting happens, and it definitely doesn't mean not, for example, acknowledging that something, you know, maybe isn't fair, or it's just not right, or there's just, you know, this thing happened, it doesn't make sense, and that kind of thing. Acceptance is more the ability to understand that it's not personal when it happens to us. Acceptance is the ability to understand that this just happens. It just happens, you know, here and there. Sometimes it happens to a lot of people, sometimes it happens to a few people, but whatever you're going through that might be negative or positive, because believe it or not, a lot of people have trouble accepting some of the positive things that are happening in their life. I know that I have problems with that. Like, I've been having problems with that this past year, actually. One of my friends has just been a really, really amazing person in my life, and it's kind of hard for me to accept that this person, like, could be as awesome as they are, you know? I mean, so I do understand that it can go in a different direction too. You know, it's just like, oh, Cassie doesn't really make friends like that, you know? But really, you know, acceptance is just about recognizing this happens and then dealing with it that way. You know, just recognizing this isn't personal. At least that's my personal experience with acceptance. That might be completely different for you, but that's what I can impart from my own life there, okay? Alrighty, guys. So we're moving on to pile 2. We've got those of you who picked the deer, and oh no, we've got suffering in silence here. Oh, that doesn't look good. And we've got a block that prevents you from moving forward. Okay, but we also have the King of Wands and the Ace of Wands, okay? And the Two of Swords. Okay, so what this lets me know is that something has to start, but it's like something has to start, but it's like you want to get too far ahead of yourself. You've got to pace yourself, okay? You've got to kind of go a little bit slower than what you feel is right. Because if you try to go as fast as you want to, you're just going to run into brick walls. You're going to be running into these blocks, okay? Just understand that there's certain cycles, there's certain phases of this new project that you're going to have to go through, whether it's a relationship or something at work or something with your kids or a hobby, you know, that this kind of stuff is going to be you know, it's not going to happen as fast as you'd like it to, which is unfortunate, but as you slow down, you'll be able to start seeing clearer, and you'll be able to make better decisions about what you're doing, okay? And you do have it in you. You're going to succeed. I don't feel like this is really promising success this week. I just feel like it's promising that you have this in you. It's just right now you have to kind of slow down because you're more in ace energy, not in king energy. And with the two of swords, that lets me know that there are some decisions that need to be made. They need to be made clearly. You need to be able to see all angles of those decisions and that kind of thing. The suffering in silence, I don't think it has anything to do with these two piles, though. I think that this is about being in a situation, and I'm sure a lot of us have been going through this recently with all the wonderful families that we have. Being in situations where you might be around a person, a family member, a friend, a partner, an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend, you know, whoever. And you just have to be quiet. You just have to keep quiet in that situation. And I think that you'll know when that happens. It'll just be, you know, a moment sometime this week where you're just going to have to keep your mouth shut, because it's like choosing your own battles. You know, you could choose to go ahead and speak up. That's probably what I'd do instead of suffering in silence. However, it just would be a big mess if you do. So keep that in mind. And this card, Discipline, really does underscore what we were talking about with the wands. We have, you know, I can accomplish what I set my mind to, and that is absolutely true. We can do whatever we set our minds to doing. We just also have to understand that in our minds it's perfect and it happens on our own time, on our own terms, and we don't run into any problems and all of that kind of stuff. But in reality's flawed. It's not perfect. It's that's why we're humans here, and we make mistakes and all of that stuff. So the discipline you'll need not only goes towards this project that we're talking about, but it also goes towards just the way you have to interact with people, you know, and again, you don't have to. It's just that's what the cards are kind of guiding you towards. All right. Okay, so that looks exciting. That new thing, definitely. All right, those of you who picked pile number 3, the cat, and this cat is a tuxedo cat, which is the same as my personal cat. So let me see here. Oh, how interesting. My goodness, this is really, really interesting. Okay, first we have conflict and defeat. I want to let you know that this particular card, it's an oracle card, but it is based on tarot. This would be the equivalent of the 5 of Swords card. And the reason that I'm saying that is that I think that this can also speak to pride as well. It can like kind of speak to that kind of in the imagery. It's like a picture of somebody who has clearly defeated their enemies, and they're collecting their swords, and they've you know, they look just absolutely delighted and all of that stuff, and it's like a little bit like overkill. So I do want to mention that just to kind of give another dimension to this card and the energy that comes through with this, because this doesn't necessarily mean that you will be the one defeated. It's just somebody will be defeated, whether that's you or the other person, or that somebody's going to feel really dejected. You know, maybe you'll get into an argument and accidentally attack somebody personally, or maybe somebody will attack you personally. That's the kind of thing that it feels like. I do feel like this is a temporary feeling, though, and I do feel like it's between you and another person. Okay, so I don't feel like this is a battle that you're fighting inside of yourself, and I don't feel like this is like a metaphor for maybe like a project you're doing at work or a hobby or something like that. I feel like this is more like literal conflict and defeat among another, like with another human being or with a couple of other human beings. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then this is the interesting part to me, is that we have 3 knight cards. We've got the Knight of Wands, the Knight I'm sorry, the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Pentacles. What that tells me is that if you are wondering when you need to make your decision, when you need to take action, when you need to move forward, this is the time. 3 times over, this is a time. This is a time to move forward, okay? Maybe you need to get away from something, or maybe you're running towards something. Whatever it is, take action now. It's very, very coincidental that all three, like, I mean, we have 4 nights that are possible to come up in the tarot, and you've got 3 of 4 of them in this, and, you know, and I only selected 3 tarot cards for each pile, okay? So that's definitely a signal that taking action is appropriate. Now, I think that one thing we can do is focus on what's missing. The one that's missing is the Knight of Cups, which is generally about emotions and intuition and that kind of thing. Normally, I would not counsel against following your intuition, but this is a situation where it feels like you have really mulled over it a lot. And now you just have to take quick, decisive action, go with your passions and your moral convictions, and you've got to just do what's practical, what makes sense in your physical space, what makes sense and what is practical in reality, okay? So, yeah, and this might be the cause of the conflict, or the conflict might create this, okay? Or they could be completely separate. So keep that in mind. We also have, you might feel, okay, if just for this week, be careful about the money that you spend. You know, be a little bit careful about that for those of you who pick this pile, because it looks like you're gonna be you're gonna have like a little less luck. So maybe if you, like, for example, if you decide to buy lottery tickets, you know, and that's what you normally do, and maybe you spend, I don't know, $25, $50 or, you know, or whatever, on lottery tickets, okay? Maybe you could skip that this week. It's just, it feels like there's something that you're gonna lose. You have something to lose, and it has to do with money, okay? But I don't feel like this is like a thief, you know? I don't feel like this is somebody who's like stealing from you. I feel like this is more like maybe mismanaging money a little bit. So just kind of be careful with that just for the next week, okay? And then we have the grief card. And that, the message here is, I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. That's certainly true. But grief happens when something meaningful is no longer accessible to us, okay? And, when we find something that holds meaning for our life, it's going to shape us forever, okay? Whether we remember it later on or not, that grief is going to shape the way that we look at the world, okay? The only way to move through grief is to literally go through grief, right? To go through all of the emotions and the upheaval and all of that kind of stuff. Now, I understand that can be difficult in some situations. For example, when I've dealt with death myself, I've pushed it down inside and not confronted it right away. Multiple times. I experienced multiple deaths when I was younger that it was just very difficult for me to process. So I kind of pushed it down, and then later on it came back up, you know, and it wasn't fun to go through, but I did have to go through it. I did have to kind of process through all of the feelings, you know, involved in each and every one that I kind of pushed down. Grief doesn't necessarily have to mean a death, though, okay? It can be this conflict and defeat energy here. It can be whatever you're moving away from here. But grief is a natural part of the cycle of anything that goes on in your life, okay? And grief just means that something touched your life and it was meaningful, okay? And we can learn about ourselves, what's important to us, and what we need to seek more of in our life. When we go through a grief process, whether we're grieving a relationship, an actual death, or, you know, losing your cat ring, which I did, and I had to replace it, okay? And seriously, I was actually really, really upset about that. and I understand that might seem silly to you guys, but it was a big deal for me. That grieving process, you know, it's natural, and it just lets you know what you value. You know, it lets you know that, you know what, I'm the kind of person that needs a cat ring, you know, or, you know what, I really, really appreciate this trait that was present in this friend, and maybe they were a jerk in all other areas, but I really liked how we got to talk about I don't know how we got to talk about snakes all the time, and I really love snakes, and that's something that I'm gonna look for. I'm gonna try to find somebody else who loves snakes to talk to, you know, something like that. I'm sorry, I'm just coming up with these off the top of my head. I read an article about snakes recently. So that is something to keep in mind when going through any kind of grief process, okay? You know, and this could be something like, you know, maybe a student moves away to a different place at your school. It could be maybe your brother or sister is going away to college, or your son or daughter is going away to college. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you lose forever. It's just a loss of any kind, okay? All right, guys. This energy of moving forward, I just gotta say, that's pretty remarkable to me. I'm gonna be interested. If any of you guys want to tell me what that's about, please send me an email. I'm very interested in that kind of stuff. Alrighty, so we've got pile number 4. We've got the wolf people. Okay, so you're gonna be successful. We've got triumph here. Okay, look at this. We've got the 7 of Cups, one of my favorite cards. I love that card. We've got the King of Swords, and we've got the 6 of Wands. So, you know, I like the 6 of Wands in this deck. The 6 of Wands usually represents triumph. You know, so it's kind of cool that we've got triumph and success and triumph here. What we've got in this particular deck is a cat that's like finally pounced on its prey and caught it, right? And you know, if you've ever watched a cat, you know how long they take thinking about it. You know, like, what am I going to do? When am I going to strike? And all that kind of stuff, and kind of circling it and maybe batting at it and everything. It would be horrible to ever experience a death by cat. But anyway, this is indicating you're going to be successful, and you know, the 7 of Cups is like, you're going to be successful in your dreams. You're going to be successful in whatever you fantasize about, whatever you want to create in your life, okay? The King of Swords energy, though, is just reminding us that we need to pick, okay? We can't have all of this stuff. We have, you know, or we can, but we have to work on it piece by piece, you know? And so the King of Swords lets us know we do have to make some decisions about what to prioritize. But whatever it is that you prioritize for this week, you will be very successful in it, okay? So if you've been holding off on making a decision about something, or you're holding off about starting something that's going to maybe bring you a lot of riches, or maybe change your status in some way, maybe taking a relationship to the next level, that kind of thing, you will be successful this week. So now would be the time to do it. If you're holding on to that. I also have, there's like, somebody's being a little bit unclear with you. We've got the snake, and we've got the clouds, okay? So the clouds indicate confusion. It can sometimes indicate depression, but I'm just not getting that vibe from these cards right now. I mean, I imagine that some of you might be going through that. I'm very sorry for that. Please see a professional if it's clinical depression. But for most of you guys, this is going to be like kind of a mental fog. This is going to be like you're really uncertain about someone in your life, and this person could maybe be a teacher. They could be a friend. This is nothing against women, but it's probably a female. I'm only saying that because the snake sometimes represents the other woman in the Lenormand, okay? And that's why I'm saying that. And the snake is more connected with Eve than it is Adam. That's it, you know, in that story. And the reason I say teacher is because of the apples, because the snake can also represent knowledge, okay? You also might be confused about something that's forbidden, something that you're not supposed to do. It's like maybe you feel like it might be okay, but you're not certain, you need more guidance. I just say sit on that, okay? Whatever's confusing you, this week is not the week to do anything about that, okay? I mean, you could, but it's just going to lead to more confusion, and it feels wrong. Let's just put it that way, you know? And then we've got gratitude. So you're going to be really thankful for all your opportunities. And look at this, we've got the 7 of Cups here with all your opportunities laid out. Of course, this is what a cat would want. So we've got milk, a nice lady or gentleman cat, we've got a mouse and cat grass, and gosh, we've got a fish and yarn and a cat bed, you know. So this cat has a lot to be thankful for. You know, I do know that some decks depict both positive and negative things in the cups, so I'm not picking and choosing here. But this is the deck that I went with, and so this is how we're gonna read it. Is that basically, you know, you have a lot of positive opportunities this week. And I think that you're going to be feeling really grateful for that. Whatever it is that's clouding your mind right now, just, you know, I'm not saying not to think about it, because reflection can be great. I'm not saying not to confront it or anything like that. Just try not to make any major decisions until next week about it, okay? That's just what I'm getting here for you, okay? So this looks overall like a really positive week for you guys. All right, pile 6, those of you guys that picked the dragon. Oh, I'm sorry, pile 5, I'm sorry. So we've got memories of love. Okay. Oh my goodness, you guys are gonna be working hard. We have the 8 of Pentacles. We also have the Ace of Pentacles, and then we've got the Star. So that's great. And just so you'll know the other cards, we also have relationships, the House, and the Scythe, okay? So let's just kind of keep that in mind. But let's start out here, okay? So there's going to be something new starting at work, or maybe it's a hobby. It's something that you use your hands. Like if it's a hobby, it's something you use your hands doing. It's something that you can kind of get dirty doing. It's something that really requires a lot of focus, that kind of thing. Otherwise, it has to do with work, okay? And it's like something that you're going to be starting off in, you know, this week or very, very soon. And this is just letting you know that you're going to have to work real hard on that. That's going to require a lot of skill, a lot of concentration. You're not going to be able to have a lot of distractions around. This is for the week, you know, so I only read for the next 7 days. So just kind of keep in mind that that's the time frame for this. But it's just, it might be something like studying for a test that's going to happen when school starts back up again, for those of you who are out of school right now. It could also be that maybe you got a puzzle as a gift for the holidays, and you've got to really concentrate to put it together. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be something huge. It's just you're gonna be needing to kind of harness a lot of focus and that energy you need to get in the flow, you know, to accomplish whatever project that you're taking on, and that's gonna be like like something in the physical world, either relating to money and materials, or something where you're like maybe getting your hands dirty or working with your hands. You've got a lot of hope here, even though you've got some kind of memory of love here. You might be reflecting on an ex. Maybe an ex is gonna show back up in your life period, like just for a little while this week. You might hear from an ex, that kind of thing. Or this might be something where it's not necessarily memory. Thing that you're experiencing this week reminds you of something that happened with another person, or something that happened, and that might be comforting. It might be scary, but just know that it's really important not to conflate two relationships. Remember that whoever you're with, that's them. That's not the other person. And even though we take all of our experiences that have accumulated up, and we tend to respond to any situation, any new situation, as it relates to our total experiences, okay, do understand that just because somebody might make you feel like really, really bad because it reminds you of somebody else, or really, really good because it reminds you of somebody else, do take the time to say to yourself, this person is not that person. You know, for example, I'm just going to use my cat and my partner as an example, okay? My cat's name is Kifum, and my partner's name is Greg. So let's say Kifum does something that reminds me of Greg. In my mind, I'd say, Kifum is not Greg. you know, just to let me know, you know, just kind of pause my, you know, put everything on pause, remind myself that this is not the same situation, you know, this is a cat, this is not a man, you know, so it's a little bit more likely to do what I want it to do. You know, so that's, you know, that's basically my advice for that, okay? And then you've got relationships, so you're attracted to those people who serve my higher good. That's a really important thing to remember. With the relationships that you have in your life, are they positive forces in your life? If you can say yes, they're great. And I think that right now you're just going to be focusing a lot on relationships, whether it's family, friends, a loved one, a partner, or somebody that you are interested in. You know, there's just like a lot of relationship dynamics going on for you this week as well, in addition to this like kind of intense working. And then we have something like kind of cutting away at your home life, which is kind of interesting because around this time a lot of people have, you know, days off. But something's going to be taken away from your relaxation time, basically. It could be that somebody just shows up at your doorway, or shows up at your door like in a really weird time, and it just interrupts what you're doing. It could mean that you're not going to be spending as much time at home. And it could be a metaphor. It could be something more like something's taking away from the time that you have to spend intimate time with your family, or intimate time with your roommates, or the person you live with, you know, or the animals you live with, right? So, you know, that basically just something involving the home. There's going to be something kind of cutting away at that. But that's just for this week. I only read for the next 7 days, okay, guys? So you guys can tune in next week to find out how that's resolved if you don't figure it out all yourself this week, okay? So that's what you guys have. It looks like you have a lot of stuff to do. Please don't lose hope. You're going to be provided direction, and you might be feeling a little vulnerable too, but you'll be fine. You'll be fine with that. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, those of you who picked the elephant, the 6th pile, guys. This is your reading. You've got partnerships and alliances. This is great for business, and it can also be really, really great for love relationships. Okay, we've got the Hermit. And the Hermit is talking about withdrawal, but it's not just withdrawal. It's not just somebody who's introverted. It's not just that. It's also withdrawal so that you can find so one can find answers from within, because that's the most appropriate place to get those answers. So this could describe either you or a person that you're, a person that you're encountering this week, really needs to take some time to come up with answers from themselves, okay? They have to make their own independent decision. It doesn't have anything to do with you, in the same way that when you have to withdraw and make your own independent decision, it doesn't have anything to do with that other person. It's just you want to make sure your decision is your own. Or maybe this person in your life wants to make sure that their decision is their own, okay? This decision is going to be something that causes them or you a lot of anxiety, okay? And normally when I do these readings, I get an impression of whether or not it's a viewer or somebody else in their life that this is going to be about. For this particular reading, I'm getting that it's about half and half. So some of you guys, this is going to be you. Some of you guys is going to be a person in your life, okay? So I just want to clarify that. And then also, once you make this decision, though, you're going to be able to start fresh. I mean, this is going to be like a new beginning. Things are going to be a lot more clear. Communication is going to be real open. And, I mean, it just feels like everything just kind of like all of that like hassle, like once the decision's made, you're not going to be anxious anymore, that kind of thing. Or once the decision is made, your person's not going to worry about it anymore. The decision's been made, everything's great, that kind of thing. In fact, it might be a little bit weird because there's not a whole lot of emotion involved. It's kind of intellectual, but that's because the emotion that's involved is like this like adrenaline, cortisol, pumping through your body or the body of the person you're talking, you're thinking about, it's that kind of thing. It's not really, it's not really an emotion so much as it is an instinctual response our body does when we're in danger or when we're nervous and that kind of thing. So just know that that's why there's not a whole lot of extra emotion surrounding this, and that you've got two swords cards and you've got some guy that wants to withdraw. And I understand many of you are also women, so guys and gals that want to withdraw here. One of the key words for the week is patience, and boy, do I have problems with patience myself. When this card comes up, or any card that like lets me know that the client or in these general readings that the viewers need patience, I kind of freak out a little bit because I don't know what to say, because I have to work on that so much myself. Patience is just recognizing that other people do things at different paces than yourself, okay? And also recognizing that you do things at different paces than other people, okay? So sometimes other people are going to be a lot slower than you, and then other times you're going to be a lot slower than other people. It doesn't mean anything except that, you know, people have strengths and weaknesses. People are strong in making certain decisions and maybe weak in making other decisions. It might have to do with experience. It might have to do with natural talent or skills. It's just, you know, patience is just about understanding that pacing can be off in situations sometimes, but that's okay. All right. And then you've got, like, this is just such a great combination. You've got the key and the tree, okay? So this is talking about positive growth. It can also be talking about health, but I can't go into much detail. First off, it's a general reading, and second, I can't give medical advice. But it just feels like your health is going to be really positive this week. You might be starting something new that is really getting yourself in gear, which, you know, isn't surprising. If some of you guys are making New Year's resolutions, just remember to stick with them, because boy, it really does work out. I ended up, just telling you something personally, I ended up losing, oh my goodness, what was it? It was like, I think in total it was 30 pounds in 2018. Because I just made the decision to do it, and I made the decision, I just happened to make it in January of 2018, and boy, I'm so glad that I stuck with it. Okay, so, you know, there's a little thing about me, and then the key just lets you know that you're something that you've been struggling with is suddenly going to be open to you. It's like something's been locked away from you. You haven't had access to it, and you finally get that key and open it, and you got what you need. Whether that, just speaking of health, I'm just giving an example, whether that's like willpower, or whether that's like, oh, I finally remember that song that's been playing in my head for 3 months. Oh my goodness, you know, or if it's like, you know, one of your crush's phone numbers, you know, are the answer to a riddle or a puzzle. Maybe you've got a crossword puzzle that you've gotten in your, you know, on your nightstand that you're like struggling with, and there's just one more answer that you need to put in. You can't figure out the oh gosh, across or down. And it's just that one letter you need or whatever. It's like that, okay? I do want to say though, this feels like a bigger thing than a crossword puzzle, although, you know, to some people that might be a really huge thing. But yeah, it feels like it's a bigger thing. It feels like it's a more life-changing thing. So I really feel like this week is going to be a big deal for you guys, for those of you who picked the elephant, for those of you who picked the sixth pile. And, you know, again, this partnerships and alliances, I don't want to ignore this card, because this lets you know that either you're going to be making a deal, or you're going to be coming together with somebody. You're going to be agreeing to work together towards a common goal, whether that's a relationship, a love relationship, a work thing, a hobby. Maybe you meet a new neighbor, maybe you meet somebody at church, or maybe you meet somebody on vacation. It's just you're going to connect with somebody who's going to stick around in your life, okay? That's what this is talking about, okay? And it's also talking about kind of going to a next level or making something official. So also keep that in mind, all right, guys? So this actually doesn't look bad. This looks pretty good. So enjoy your week, definitely. Alright guys, as always, thank you so much for watching my video to the end. I really appreciate every single one of you. I cannot believe the amount of subscribers I've gotten this year. I am so amazed. I mean, I have nearly 9,000 subscribers at this point, and I went live in mid-August, so it's a pretty big deal for me. So thank you guys so much for supporting me and letting me know that what I'm doing here is good and that you enjoy it and all of that kind of stuff. I look forward to working with you guys through these free readings on YouTube for all of 2019, and getting a chance to connect with you if you want to go ahead and reach out to me for a private reading, okay? I thank you so much for all of the happiness and joy you guys have brought me in 2018, and I hope that I am able to give back just a fraction of the amount of joy that I feel when I think about this channel. Alright guys, I'll see you tomorrow.